Chapter 9. The Returning Parent. We stayed at the church until morning because no one could agree on where else to go. Torin was still recovering from whatever the hunters had dosed him with and his face was pale and covered in sweat. Naira sat next to him with her hand on his shoulder, watching the door like she expected someone to burst through it at any moment. Lysandra paced near the altar, her footsteps echoing in the empty space. Atticus stood by the window with his arms crossed and his jaw tight. Calder sat alone in the back pew and didn't look at anyone. I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd heard. Target still active. Situation escalating. The words kept repeating in my head like a song I couldn't turn off, and every time I looked at Calder I felt my chest tighten because I wanted to believe his explanation but I couldn't make myself do it. "We need to move," Lysandra said for maybe the 10th time. "Staying here is stupid. Where do you suggest we go?" Atticus asked without turning around. "Anywhere but here." "That's not a plan. Neither is sitting around waiting for the hunters to find us again. They won't find us here." "How do you know?" He didn't answer. The sun was starting to come up and the light filtering through the stained glass windows made everything look red and golden wrong. My eyes hurt from not sleeping and my body felt heavy and disconnected, like I was watching everything happen from somewhere far away. "I need air," I said, standing up. "Don't go far," Atticus said. I walked outside and sat on the steps leading up to the church entrance. The air was cold and damp and smelled like rain even though the sky was clear. Birds were starting to wake up and their calls sounded too loud in the quiet morning. I closed my eyes and tried to breathe slowly, tried to make my heart stop pounding, tried to make sense of everything that had happened in the past 24 hours. I couldn't. Nothing made sense anymore. I heard footsteps behind me and opened my eyes, expecting Atticus or maybe Naira. It wasn't either of them. A woman stood at the bottom of the steps, looking up at me with an expression I couldn't read. She was tall, maybe 5'10", with dark hair that fell past her shoulders and eyes that were the same color as mine. She wore a long coat that looked expensive and out of place in a town like Ridge Hollow, and she carried herself with the kind of confidence that made you think she could handle anything. "Elijah," she said, and her voice was soft but steady. I stood up and my legs felt weak. "Who are you?" "My name is Seraphine Viral." She took a step closer. "I'm your mother." The world tilted sideways. I grabbed the railing to keep from falling and my vision went blurry at the edges. My mouth was dry and my throat felt like it was closing and I couldn't make words come out even though I was trying. "That's not possible," I said finally, and my voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. "I know this is difficult. You're dead. They told me you were dead. They told you what they needed to tell you." She climbed the steps slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal. "I'm sorry, Elijah. I'm so sorry. But I had to hide you. It was the only way to keep you safe." "Safe from what?" "From the people who want to use you. From the hunters who've been tracking dragon bloodlines for centuries." She stopped 2 steps below me. "From the ones who would kill you just for existing." My hands were shaking and I shoved them in my pockets. "I don't understand." "I know. But I'm here now, and I can explain everything." The door behind me opened and Atticus stepped out. He looked at Seraphine and his entire body went rigid. "Who are you?" he asked, and his voice was hard and dangerous. "Seraphine Viral," she said calmly. "Elijah's mother." "That's not possible." "It's very possible." She looked at me again. "May I come inside? I think we should talk somewhere more private." "No," Atticus said. "I'm not asking you. I don't care. You're not coming inside." "Atticus," I said, and my voice cracked. "She says she's my mother. And you believe her?" "I don't know what I believe." Seraphine's expression softened. "I understand your friend's caution. But I promise you, I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm here to help." "Help with what?" Atticus asked. "With keeping Elijah alive." The door opened again and Lysandra stepped out, followed by Naira and Torin. Calder came last, and when he saw Seraphine his face went white. "No," he said, backing up. "No, that's not." "What?" Lysandra looked between him and Seraphine. "What's wrong?" "That's Seraphine Viral," Calder said, and his voice was shaking. "I've seen her name in Hunter intelligence files. She's—" He stopped and swallowed hard. "She's supposed to be one of the most dangerous shifters alive." Everyone went silent. Seraphine smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "I see my reputation precedes me." "You're a hunter target," Calder said. "I was, for a very long time." She looked at me. "That's why I had to hide you, Elijah. They were coming for me. And if they'd known about you, they would have come for you too." "But why?" I asked, and my throat hurt. "Why would they come for me?" "Because you're a dragon. Because your bloodline is one of the last pure lines left in the world. Because there are people who would do anything to control that power." "I don't have any power. Don't you?" She tilted her head. "You've shifted. You've burned. You've felt the fire inside you that shouldn't exist." She took another step closer. "You have more power than you realize, and that makes you valuable. And dangerous." "How do you know about that?" Atticus asked. "Because I've been watching." Seraphine's eyes never left mine. I've been watching since the day I placed you in foster care. I've been watching as you moved from town to town, never staying anywhere long enough to be noticed. I've been watching as the hunters closed in. You've been watching, I repeated, and anger was starting to burn through the shock. You've been watching while I had no idea what I was, while I thought I was losing my mind, while people tried to kill me. I know. That's all you have to say? You know, I did what I had to do to keep you alive. By abandoning me? By hiding you. Her voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath it. If I'd stayed with you, they would have found us both. They would have killed me and taken you. This was the only way. You could have told me, when? When you were 5? 10? 15? She shook her head. You weren't ready, and telling you would have put you in more danger. I'm in danger now. I know. That's why I'm here. Lysandra stepped forward. Why should we believe anything you're saying? You shouldn't, Seraphine said simply. You should be suspicious. You should question everything I tell you. That's smart. She looked at each of them in turn. But the fact remains that Elijah is my son, and I'm not going to let anyone hurt him. Little late for that, Torin muttered. Seraphine's expression didn't change. I understand your anger, all of you. But we don't have time for this. The hunters are closing in and they're not going to stop until they have what they want. Which is what? Atticus asked. Elijah. Alive if possible. Dead if necessary. She looked at me again. They know what you are now. They've seen you shift. They've seen your fire. And they're going to do everything in their power to either capture you or eliminate you. My legs felt weak again and I sat down on the steps because I couldn't stand anymore. Why? I asked quietly. Why do they care so much? Because dragonfire is the only thing that can destroy certain supernatural artifacts. Because your blood can be used in rituals that grant power. Because you're a weapon, Elijah. Whether you want to be or not. I'm not a weapon, no. You're a person. But they don't see you that way. She knelt down in front of me and her eyes were intense and focused. I know this is overwhelming. I know you have no reason to trust me. But I need you to listen. The hunters have been planning this for months. They're the ones who placed you in Greyridge Hollow. They're the ones who've been tracking your movements. And they're the ones who are going to come for you again. How do you know all this? Naira asked. Because I've been hunting them while they've been hunting you. Seraphine stood up. I've been tracking their movements, intercepting their communications, trying to stay one step ahead. But they're getting closer and we're running out of time. So what do you want us to do? Lysandra asked. I want you to let me help. I want you to trust that I know how to fight these people because I've been fighting them for 17 years. She looked at me. And I want Elijah to come with me somewhere safe. No, Atticus said immediately. It's not your decision. It's not yours either. He's my son. He's a person who can make his own choices. They stared at each other and the tension in the air was thick enough to choke on. Elijah, Seraphine said without looking away from Atticus. What do you want? I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. Part of me wanted to believe her, wanted to believe that she'd been protecting me all this time, that she'd had good reasons for everything she'd done. Part of me wanted to go with her and let her take care of everything because I was so tired of being scared and confused and alone. But another part of me, the part that had learned not to trust anyone, was screaming that something was wrong. I don't know, I said. That's okay. Her voice was gentle. You don't have to decide right now. Yes he does, Calder said, and everyone turned to look at him. If she's really in the Hunter files, if she's really as dangerous as they say, then we need to know whose side she's on. I'm on my son's side, Seraphine said. Are you? Calder's voice was shaking but he didn't back down. Because the files say you've worked with hunters before. They say you've traded information. They say you can't be trusted. The files say a lot of things. Are they true? She was quiet for a long moment. Some of them, she said finally. I've done things I'm not proud of. I've made deals with people I shouldn't have trusted. But everything I did was to protect Elijah. How convenient, Lysandra said. It's the truth. We only have your word for that. Then don't trust my word. Trust your instincts. Seraphine looked at me again. Elijah, look at me. Really look at me. Do you feel anything? I looked at her and tried to see past the stranger standing in front of me. Tried to see if there was anything familiar, anything that felt like home. I didn't know. Maybe there was something in her eyes, something in the way she held herself, something that reminded me of the way I felt when I shifted. Or maybe I was just desperate to believe that someone actually cared about me. I don't know, I said again, and my voice broke. That's okay. She reached out like she was going to touch my shoulder, then stopped. I know I can't undo 17 years in one conversation. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Until the hunters find us, Torin said. They won't find us if we're smart. They've found us every other time. Because you've been predictable. Because you've been staying in places they can track. She looked around at all of them. I can take you somewhere they'll never find you. Somewhere protected. Somewhere safe. Where? Atticus asked. I can't tell you that until I know you're coming. That's not how trust works. No. But it's how survival works. The sun was fully up now and the light was harsh and unforgiving. My head was pounding and my chest felt tight and I couldn't think straight because everything was happening too fast. I need time, I said. We don't have time, Seraphine said. But her voice was still gentle. The hunters are coming, Elijah. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. And when they do, you need to be ready. I'm not ready for any of this. I know. But you're going to have to be. She turned and started walking down the steps. Wait, I said, standing up. Where are you going? To give you space to think. She looked back at me. I'll be nearby. When you're ready to talk, I'll be here. How will I find you? You won't have to. I'll find you. She walked away and disappeared into the trees beyond the church parking lot. Everyone was silent for a long moment. Well, Lysandra said finally, that was insane. She's lying, Calder said. His hands were shaking and his face was still pale. She has to be lying. About what? Naira asked. About everything. About protecting him. About being his mother. About, he stopped and ran his hand through his hair. I've seen her file. She's dangerous. She's killed people. So have we, Torin said quietly. That's different. Is it? No one had an answer for that. I sat back down on the steps and put my head in my hands. Atticus sat down next to me. You okay? He asked. No, yeah, I didn't think so. We sat in silence for a while and I tried to make sense of everything that had just happened. Tried to figure out if Seraphine was telling the truth or if this was just another trap. I couldn't tell. What do you think? I asked finally. Atticus was quiet for a moment. I think she's not telling you everything, he said. And his voice was low enough that only I could hear. I think she's hiding something. And I think you need to be very careful before you decide to trust her. But what if she's really my mother? Then she's your mother who abandoned you for 17 years and only showed up now because it's convenient. He looked at me. That doesn't mean she's on your side. So what do I do? I don't know. But whatever you decide, I've got your back. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that someone actually had my back, that I wasn't completely alone in this. But I'd learned a long time ago that wanting something didn't make it true. And right now, I didn't know who to trust. Not Calder, who'd been caught with a radio. Not Seraphine, who'd appeared out of nowhere with convenient answers. Not even Atticus, who kept telling me he was hiding things. I was surrounded by people and I'd never felt more alone. Come on, Atticus said, standing up. We should get inside. Figure out our next move. I followed him back into the church and tried not to think about the fact that my mother, if she really was my mother, was somewhere out there watching. For what? I didn't know. And that scared me more than anything else.